Hi, everybody, and welcome to this super casual Ask Me Anything. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this with regard to Life After Loss Academy. I'm so grateful to have you here. We might have some folks join us amidst me just talking. This is just like a casual get together to discuss Life After Loss Academy and what you could potentially learn in this group. I just want to make sure that my mic is unmuted. It sounds like it is. I see the little green thing in the corner going. So I want to get to some questions that got submitted, and if people happen to join throughout, please do leave your questions in the chat, and I'll be sure to answer them there. But this is your space, this is your time to learn more about what Life After Loss Academy is, to look at my face and to connect to my grief story in ways that you may not have before, and to learn more about what it is that's involved in this specific 10-week cohort of Life After Loss Academy. So first things first, if you have never been introduced to me or my work before, or if you're really new to my world, my name is Shelby Forsythia. I am an intuitive grief coach and author, and my big losses are as follows. My mother died very unexpectedly when I was 21 years old and in college. It was the day after Christmas. She had breast cancer that went away and then came back, and very suddenly we were told that she had 6 weeks to 6 months to live, and she died in 7 days on the day after Christmas. I speak about it and I'm able to tell the story now with not a lot of emotion, but when I tell you that her death was the thing that radically upended everything I knew to be true about my life, everything I knew to be true about how the world worked and what my future held. That's not an overstatement at all. It was as if the rug was pulled out from under me, and then the floor, and then the baseboards, and then the foundation of the house, and then the soil, and then the very center of the earth itself. That is how extremely her loss rearranged my entire life. Um, and I often teach people in Life After Loss Academy. This is the 10-week cohort that you're considering signing up for if you're watching this replay right now, that when you experience loss, you are wearing grief glasses. Now, for the rest of your life, it's like walking around with a set of goggles just super glued to your face, because now you have seen and known loss and you cannot unsee or unknow it. You are going to be acquainted with loss for the rest of your life. It may not be a bad thing all the time, but everything in the world now you see through the lens of grief. And so I've experienced other losses since then, and I've seen them through the lens of grief. I have experienced the unexpected and devastating breakup of an engagement that I very much thought was going to end in marriage. I have also been diagnosed with a chronic illness, and just 2 years ago, also very suddenly and unexpectedly, so many of my losses have been sudden and unexpected. My very best friend in the whole world, my platonic soulmate, died from COVID at 29. And to say that grief is my companion, my life's partner in some ways, my never-ending and constant presence is is reality. That is truth for me, is how grief shows up in the world and in my life. And I know if you're watching this, that some part of that is probably true for you too, is that grief has now entered your life. Grief feels constant. Grief feels um, overwhelming, a never-ending presence, this thing that will not go away. And if you're here, I suspect also that you know, whether from engaging with my work or looking at the work of other grief professionals or other celebrities or influencers or authors or um, people in your family, people that you know personally, you know somewhere in your soul that it is possible to build a good life after devastating loss. You have seen people experience massive heartbreak and massive loss, and yet somehow build lives of peace and joy and happiness and purpose again. And it can feel like a bit of a mystery. Like, how did they do that? How did they get there? How is that possible? And so many of the people around us say, you just need to move forward. You just need to let it go. You just need to release your grief. What does that mean? And that's exactly what I teach in Life After Loss Academy, is the how to move through grief, how to let emotions and difficult feelings go. Not your people. We never want to forget the people that we carry inside of us. They get to stay. But how to move through grief, how to build a life that feels not just good, but hopeful and peaceful and joyful and possible and whole again after devastating loss. That is what I teach in Life After Loss Academy. So the structure of this 10-week cohort is as follows. Our first call is happening on May 16th, which is a week from today. It's next Thursday. So the deadline to join is midnight on May 15th. That's the day before. That's the very last second you can join this course. And because Life After Loss Academy is a uh, online course plus of live community, there's some structure inside of it. So there are video lessons you can work through at your own pace, and then every single Thursday at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Central Time, respectively. Every other week, we alternate times every week so we can accommodate people in different time zones. We meet together as a group. We discuss what we've learned through the video lessons. We talk about obstacles, struggles, roadblocks, things that are tripping you up in your grief. We honor grief's milestones together, so birthdays, anniversaries, death days, even just finding out new information about a loss can be a sort of milestone or something worth commemorating. And then we move through the course together. So I want to share my screen for a second. I say for a second, it's going to be for a little bit, but I'll show you um, a behind the scenes of what you get in Life After Loss Academy. So I'll pop on over to this page here, and I'm hoping you can see this. This is the page for Life After Loss Academy, the 10-week cohort. You can see it begins on May 16th, and you can register here, say no more, I'm in. And this is your countdown. This is how much time you have remaining. So if you're watching the replay of this, it will be even less than this. But to sign up for the course, you can either join here or join here. There's yellow buttons all over the screen, and it tells you what's involved in the course, and you can watch even another little demo video of what's expected in here. But in terms of talking about, here's the actual structure of the course. In Life After Loss Academy, I have created something I call the grief method. And we ground, we learn ways to feel safe in the world again. We release, we deal with difficult emotions, we figure out where those emotions need to go. We find ways to state what we have lost and express it. This is what a lot of people think of when they think of doing grief work is the release module. We integrate our losses and our loved ones into our lives, so we weave them in so much that there is no possible way for us to forget them, that they guaranteed come with us moving forward into the future. We establish boundaries and grief honoring relationships with friends, family, coworkers, and all the other people in our lives. So we take grief from inside of ourselves and talk about how does grief operate with other people. And then finally, we foster. This is where we talk about how do you live the entire rest of your life with grief. How do you cultivate peace and purpose and hope and happiness again? These bigger ideas. So we go from just bare bones surviving, getting through the day, reestablishing calm and groundedness in a world where loss has taught you that anything can happen at any time to anyone, to releasing difficult emotions, to finding ways to weave loss into your life and grief honoring things into your life, to taking grief and how do I deal with it with other people? And then now how do I live the entire rest of my life? So if your question at the beginning of Life After Loss Academy is how do I live the entire rest of my life with grief? We'll get there. But what I want to do first is lay the foundation for you to build that good life after loss in a way that is gradual, in a way that is gentle, in a way that's sometimes funny. Some of the mindfulness tools and the reframes and the exercises I have in here, there's actually humor in this. And then I also want these things to feel easy for you. So many of them are just word tricks or games you can play with yourself or journaling prompts or exercises that challenge you to see grief in a new way. They're not things that cost you a heck of a lot of time or a heck of a lot of money, but they are things that help you lay the foundation for building your unique definition of whatever a good life with grief means. And by the end of this course, so many people have told me they've gone from uncertain to certain and feeling directed and motivated and focused again, from feeling weighed down by grief to feeling free from pain, which is an incredibly complimentary thing to say, but also an incredible transformation, from feeling like they weren't allowed to talk about their losses or honor their loved ones, to feeling like they have so much permission to grieve and let that grief show up in the world, to having relationships with family and friends that are hurtful and wounding and not honoring of their grief, to suddenly working in jobs and having friends and being in relationship with people who are so welcoming of their grief that it feels like such a blessing, into seeing grief not as your tormentor or the weight on your chest or the source of all your misery, but a partner and a collaborator and sometimes even a friend that comes with you into the future and helps you make decisions about your life and helps you remember what your heartbreaks are so that you can love all that more deeply. That is the result that I can tell you you get in Life After Loss Academy. So that's our structure here. So starting May 16th, we do the ground module, and then beginning early weeks of June, we'll do the release module. Second half of June, we'll do the integrate module. Early July, we'll do the establish module. And by the end of July, give me 10 weeks, and I will change your entire relationship with grief. So that's the lay of the land here in Life After Loss Academy. I'll pop on over here, and this is actually what the inside of Life After Loss Academy looks like. So when you sign up, you'll get the welcome module here and then the ground module instantaneously. So you can start working through courses and lessons right away. These are work at your own pace and they have video lessons involved. So in terms of like, let's get grounded, here's a guiding quote. Every module opens with a guiding quote. Here's what you're going to learn. Here's your checklist of by the end of this module, you should be able to XYZ because grievers love clarity. I love when things are clear in a list, and I love being clear with other people. And then you get a little workbook to work through the entire module with. And then each module in Life After Loss Academy has a video lesson. So for instance, this one, you can see my little talking head in the corner, and we move through just together. Here's what you can expect to learn in the lesson. There's lots of illustrations and pictures. There's a lot of, here's what you can expect to learn. There's a lot of storytelling that happens in here. I tell stories from past clients. And it's just a really lovely way. Most of these videos are 5 to 10 minutes long, don't take a lot of time, and give you something to do with your grief. And each module contains about 10 of them. So here's kind of your checklist of here's what you're going to learn on the inside of the course. And then the other thing that you get as a part of Life After Loss Academy is membership in the online community. This is our private Facebook group just for people who signed up for this course. Some of them have done cohorts with me in the past. Some of them have joined. Life After Loss Academy is open year round, so you can take it at any time, but I like to open it 3 times a year and work through it as a group because some people like the group accountability. So these are people who are working through it at their own pace, but are also contributing things about their grief. So here's an example of a call that we just led this morning, a coaching call of answering people's questions and offering grief support tips and tools. Here's where you'll always see, here's the call times for the week. So you can see that next week we start with the ground module. You can see group rules here. And then at the beginning of every single week, I'll post something like this, a Q&A thread. And this is where people will leave comments of like what they'd like me to talk about during the week, struggles that they're going through, things they want memorialized. And then at the beginning of every month, we ask, what anniversaries are you honoring? Birthdays, death days, anniversaries, big milestones, some things I call dates of knowing, dates where you found out information about a loss. This is a great place to support and be supported, to see what other people are struggling with, to hold them in your heart, and to be held in the hearts of others as well. So this is something you get as a part of Life After Loss Academy as well. And one of my favorite things that I tell new people who join is that if you click the media tab in Life After Loss Academy, not only do you get the replays of calls that you missed after you joined Life After Loss Academy, if you click videos here, you get every single these are some cute facial expressions. You get every single replay of every single call I have ever led in Life After Loss Academy. You get to see all my iterations of my haircuts. You get to see when I moved into this apartment. You get to see my first apartment, my first place where I started teaching Life After Loss Academy. But all the tips and tools, all the questions, all the struggles that other students have had in Life After Loss Academy, there may be something in here for you. And you can see all these replays since the beginning of Life After Loss Academy. Each one is anywhere but from 20 to 30 minutes long. And so in addition to joining and then continuing forward with Life After Loss Academy, you can also go back and watch this entire library of questions that I've answered from students just like you who have been working through their grief together. So yeah, that's a great behind the scenes of what you'll get in Life After Loss Academy. I want to answer some other common questions that I receive about Life After Loss Academy. One of the big ones, this one I got from Eileen, she said, I'm grieving a loss other than death. Is Life After Loss Academy or this 10-week cohort, is this for me? I always say yes when people say that because it's called Life After Loss Academy, not Life After Death Academy for a reason. Because this framework, the grief method, this 5-step grief module or a program is about moving through the experience of loss you have been shoved through or have walked through if you have chosen your loss, like a divorce, or like a geographic move or a job shift that you have chosen for yourself. You have gone through some sort of door that you can no longer go back through. You cannot undo what has been done. You cannot unsee what has been seen. You cannot unknow what you now know. And that is worth grieving, whatever sort of transition that is. So we've had most people in Life After Loss Academy are grieving some sort of death, about 90 to 95% of people. But some people are grieving other things at the same time, kind of comorbid losses, if you will. Divorces, breakups, estrangements, empty nest, major geographic moves, other people grieving pet loss, loss of a baby, loss of a dream, loss of identity, loss of creativity. People are grieving all sorts of things, and you can use the grief framework, ground release, establish, or integrate, establish, and foster to move through all kinds of losses in Life After Loss Academy. Another question that I get is what if my grief just happened? Like, what if my loss just happened? Or what if my grief exists from years ago? And this is one of my favorite questions because unlike other grief support tools, which are designed this is for the first year of loss, or this is for the first 5 years of loss, or this is for the first 6 months after the funeral, whatever. Life After Loss Academy is not bound by time. There are students in Life After Loss Academy whose losses happened within the last year, within the last 365 days. So we accompany them as a group through their first death anniversary, through their first birthday, through their first, major milestones, through holiday seasons, all of that. We walk through that together. And then there are people who have been grieving for 5, 10, 20 years who are looking for new ways to work through their grief, or maybe perhaps this is the first time they finally felt safe enough in the world, or free enough mentally or energetically enough physically to do a support course and a support group like this. Maybe this is the first time that loss and life has been less chaotic, so there is that time to really work through their grief. For people who ask, my loss hasn't happened yet, so I'm anticipating a loss. I'm anticipatorily grieving, but I know that I'm grieving. Will I find this useful? I'll say yes, but there is a caveat that a lot of the language I use in Life After Loss Academy is past oriented, as if the loss happened back there. But I think, if you listen to the lessons and you come to the coaching calls, you can find Life After Loss Academy useful because you will find ways to use the grief method to anticipatorily grieve. You can find ways to feel safe in the world. You can release emotional pain. You can start folding grief and loss and seeing through grief glasses into your life. You can start making new relationships with people in your life, and you can start thinking about what the future might hold with grief before a loss has actually happened. You can do all of that before a loss has happened. So yes, you can work through Life After Loss Academy if you are anticipating a loss. I've had students come through who've had, for example, one parent die, but they are taking care of another parent who will soon die. And so working through Life After Loss Academy was helpful for them. You just might have to do a little bit of flipping in your head with the past oriented language, pardon me, that I write through and see how it applies to you in the present. This question comes from Nadia, who is 18. She says, how old do I need to be to enroll in Life After Loss Academy? That's the threshold. I highly recommend when people come into Life After Loss Academy that you be at least 18 years old to be a part of it. So many of the students I teach in here are um, early to mid 20s, all the way up to late 60s, early 70s. So we have a pretty wide swath of age groups in here, which is kind of neat because you've got like your more experienced people and your more experienced grievers, and then people who are grieving very early loss and they can companion and teach each other. And I learned quite a few things from my older members as well. I will say that I request that you be at least 18 years old because we do talk about some adult themes in Life After Loss Academy. Not often, but sometimes we swear about grief because grief is a swear-worthy event. Sometimes how we talk about, or somebody will ask a question about how their sex life is impacted by grief, or somebody will have died from a drug overdose or by suicide or in a graphic or tragic way that may not be um, okay for somebody who is under 18 to cope with maybe on their own. So I do request that people be at least 18 years old to enroll in Life After Loss Academy. But that being said, if you are mature for your age and you have legally a Facebook account and you can join the group, you're more than welcome to join us. Just know that with a very heavy asterisk that there are some adult themes discussed in the course. It's not what the course is about, but there can be because grief, we all experience grief, and you can certainly experience grief as a child or as a teenager. But in terms of support tools and mechanisms and like the mindfulness tools and the exercises and things, and some of the stories I tell and the examples I give, they are oriented from the mind and the perspective of somebody who is an adult, both when they experience their grief um, and just as a person who works with other adults. Yeah, I'm not a children's grief professional or a teen grief professional. And I do have other resources for that. So if you are watching this and you are under the age of 18, but you are looking for other places to process grief, I have them for you. So please send me an email. One of the other questions I get, this one is from Madeline. She said, I'm already working with a therapist. Why should I enroll in this course? First off, I'll say you don't have to. If you like your therapist and you like what you're learning from them and you feel you're making progress there, I mean, go right ahead. I don't ever want to put myself in competition with therapists in Life After Loss Academy. I've had so many people work through the course who are doing Life After Loss Academy in tandem with a therapist. I will tell you how Life After Loss Academy is different. So, generally, very broadly, generally, Life After Loss Academy is different than therapy for two reasons. Number one, therapy is often past oriented. We're looking at the past and processing what happened back there. Whereas Life After Loss Academy, a coaching program, is future oriented. Where would I like to go? What am I dreaming of? What goals do I have for myself? And so instead of processing what happened back there, we do some of that, but that's not what the course is oriented around. Instead of processing what happened back there, we are aiming for what is coming up here, or what do I want to achieve or start aiming towards up here. So I want to live a good life with grief. I want more peace in my life. I want to stop fighting grief and start moving forward. I want to release painful emotions. These are all future desires that you want but don't know how to achieve, and that is what Life After Loss Academy is designed for. Something like I want to process the trauma of my grief is probably better suited for a therapist. The second reason that Life After Loss Academy is different from therapy is that therapists are often, not all the time, but therapists are often generalists. They know a lot about a lot of things. And so they can teach you about depression. They can deal with anxiety and family relationships and boundaries and substance use and mental health illnesses or disorders and grief. But grief is not what they specialize in generally. Life After Loss Academy is specifically for the experience of grief. So if the thing that is hurting your heart the most right now, the thing that is weighing heaviest on your mind is grief, and you're like, grief is the thing that I need to deal with, then Life After Loss Academy is for you. If you have grief and some other stuff, mental illnesses that you would like medication or treatment for, that is not what I specialize in. I tell people I very clearly, I am not a mental health professional. I am a grief coach. I am an author. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I love talking about grief and coming up with frameworks for grief and helping people, guiding them through the experience of life after loss. I am not a mental health professional. So if you need somebody who does grief and, especially if you're somebody who needs a diagnosis or medication as a part of your grief journey, that is not for me. So I will release you to go work with your therapist, and preferably, and I would encourage you to do this, search for a grief-informed therapist, and you will have an entirely different experience than if you just see a general therapist. Heavy air quotes there. Somebody else said, this has been a student question in the past. She said, I don't use Facebook. Is there another way to participate in the community? As of right now, no. So sadly, Facebook is still the best platform I have been able to find that allows live video check-ins once a week at different times where people can leave comments, people can comment on each other's things, they can comment during the live chat, get the replays instantly without me having to upload, download, send you an email, anything. The replays just simply exist. And for people to post of their own free will and volition during major milestones or sharing stories about loved ones or things like that. So Facebook still is the best place for all of us to meet together as a group. If I find another thing, I will be migrating to it. But as of right now, this is the best and most robust place for a group to take place. That being said, if you don't use Facebook or you don't have a Facebook profile, what a few students have done in the past is create Facebook profiles, but like using a picture of a pet, using an alias, using a name that they don't go by because they don't want to be found. They're like, I don't want my friends and family from high school reunion to like find me on the internet. I don't want my family to know I'm on here. I don't want to be on social media more than I have to be. This is the only place I want to be a part of it. Totally fine. Whenever you sign up for Life After Loss Academy, just tell me what your alias is on Facebook or what picture I should look for, and I'll allow you into the group. We had somebody join probably about 2 years ago now who used her cat as her Facebook profile picture, and she used the name of one of her other cats as her name on Facebook. But she, pardon me, she sent me an email and just said, this is me. This is what the email address I signed up under, and please let me in. And we did. And she had a wonderful experience in the group, and she would just log onto Facebook to come to the group calls every week. Another question I got, this one is from Kim. She said, how long does the average person take to complete Life After Loss Academy? And this is a really common question. Because people want to know, like, how long does it take for me to get help from the course? How long will it take for me to get results from the course? And this is one that is hard to pin down because everybody's griefs and everybody's lives are different. So I really encourage you to think about how much work you're able to put into the course, how much time you're willing to set aside to it, and also how much work and time you're willing to contribute to the group discussions. That being said, Life After Loss Academy is structured to be released. You will receive the entire course, access to the entire course within 10 weeks, which is why I lead this as a 10-week cohort 3 times a year, once in May, once in September, and once in January. So if you have the time and the space to work through the lessons and to participate in the group coaching calls across the 10 weeks, you can get through the entire course in the 10 weeks. That being said, one of the best parts of Life After Loss Academy is that when you sign up for the course, you get lifetime access to everything. So if you're not able to complete the course in the 10 weeks, if you fall behind, if God forbid another grief event happens, which is common for other students who've been in the course, or just life be life and life just happens, and you're not able to complete all the lessons or all the modules in tandem with the group, you can complete them on your own time. You don't lose access to the group, you don't lose access to the lessons, you don't lose access to me. So once you have paid for Life After Loss Academy, which no matter which payment option you choose, you have access to the course for the rest of my life. However long that is, you have lifetime access to the course and any future updates that come with it. You get to meet any future students who are coming in, and so your grief community only grows from here. And so, that being said, most people complete all the lessons in Life After Loss Academy anywhere between those 10 weeks that we start together and about 6 months. Most people get through the course in that time. We have had students in the past experience additional losses or, get busy and life catches up with them. And so they get through the first half of the course and then they come back and work through the second half of the course. We have also had people who work through the entire course experience a new loss. Again, like a person whose one parent died and they were taking care of the other one, and the one they were taking care of died. And then they're like, I am done caregiving for my father. That is something now I must grieve. And I'm coming back to the course and I'm working through the lessons all over again. So Life After Loss Academy is designed for the losses you're facing now and also for the losses you will experience in the future. And I don't wish this on you, but I also know from having my mother die in 2013 and then having my best friend die in 2022 that the work of grief is something that must be done over and over and over again. And you are not crazy and you are not regressing, and there's nothing wrong with you for revisiting the community and revisiting the lessons in Life After Loss Academy. A common question I get, especially for the cohort of Life After Loss Academy, is this live or is it recorded? The answer is both. And this is really cool because even if you're not able to make the live calls, you can watch the replays, but all of the lessons, the modules, the coursework of Life After Loss Academy, all of that you get to do on your own time. So you get to work through Ground, which has 7 or 8 lessons in it, Release, same thing. Integrate, Establish, Foster. Each of them have anywhere from 7 to 10 lessons inside of them. There's about 80 lessons in total inside Life After Loss Academy, each about 5 to 10 minutes apiece. You get to work through those at your own pace. They're recorded video lessons with worksheets, workbooks. You get every bit of the course included in there and you work through it on your own time. So regardless of what time zone you're in, regardless of what kind of time you have in your day, you can watch it on the train. I wouldn't listen to it while you're driving, but you can take 5, 10 minutes a day and just say, I'm going to work on my grief now. Or if you work a really heavy job and you've got one day a week free, you can work through for one day, just an entire module. You can do it in a day. And I wouldn't recommend necessarily emotionally doing it all in a day, but you can take in the information and then process it and implement it over the course of a much longer time. But you can complete a module technically in a day over the course of a few hours in a day if you're looking to binge watch or binge listen to a bunch of lessons all at once in Life After Loss Academy. And then again, each Thursday at 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. alternating weeks, and I give you the schedule at the top of the Facebook group of here's when you can expect me to pop into the group because we have people all over the world who are grieving losses in Life After Loss Academy. You can join us there. And the replays are available instantly. And even if you can't come, there's that questions thread at the beginning of the week. If I have a question about this, please answer it during the live call. And even if you can't attend, I will prioritize your question and the others of people who have left comments, in addition to the people who are attending the call live. So no matter what, you will not slip through the cracks in this program. You will not be unheard. You will not get lost in the shuffle. Your grief is honored and respected, and every single question you have, everything single thing you're struggling with or trying to move through, you will be held and guided and companioned and validated in this course for whatever you're experiencing. Um, Another question I get is the course material accessible? I'll say yes to a point. So for all of the video lessons, because they are uploaded to a private channel on YouTube, you can turn on captions and subtitles for them. So you can read what I'm saying in the course through all the video lessons. So all 80 of those video lessons are accessible. And then I also often will repeat what I say in the video in the text of each lesson as well. It's not an exact transcript because I'm telling stories, I'm giving examples, I'm using illustrations, blah, blah, blah. But you can, with a screen reader or any sort of other reader, move through the lessons in Life After Loss Academy in an accessible way. I will say I do not have it translated into other languages yet. As of right now, Life After Loss Academy is only available in English. And if you are impaired in another way where you cannot read using a screen reader or read using captions in a video, I don't know that I have this accessible to you yet. But if you know of anybody who specializes in making online courses accessible, my ears are always open to that because I believe that grief support is for everybody. It should be. And I would love to make that more possible for you. Okay. Another question I get is, what if I can't afford it? So this iteration of Life After Loss Academy, because it's a 10-week program, you will have paid for Life After Loss Academy once the 10 weeks are up. And again, once you've paid in full for Life After Loss Academy, you have access to it for the rest of my life. Like for as long as I live, Life After Loss Academy will be accessible to you. I call it lifetime access. And so even if you don't get through all the lessons in the 10 weeks, even if you want more coaching with me into the future, you get it forever. It's one of the best, it's my favorite part of Life After Loss Academy because I have legacy students who've been with me for 4 years now. I started this in 2020, and I have people who just joined. And so there's people who know the lingo and the exercises and wearing grief glasses and the Oprah rule and the fortune cookie trick that I used for grief, who are helping teach other new people who are joining Life After Loss Academy and model for them. Here's what a good life with grief looks like as they join the course. And so even if you're not done with everything by the end of 10 weeks, because you've paid for it, you have access to it for the rest of your life and you can return it anytime, whether you'd like to keep working on it after the 10 weeks or you want to go away for a while and come back, perhaps when you find out new information about an old loss or when a new loss appears, because the grief method in Life After Loss Academy is designed to be worked through for new losses as well. Again, it's not bound by time. You don't work through Life After Loss Academy because you're a year out from a loss or 5 years out, so on and so forth. You work through it because grief has disrupted your life and you want to learn how to live a good life with grief. That is what I teach in Life After Loss Academy. So I have 3 payment plans for Life After Loss Academy for this iteration of it. If you'd like to pay in full all at once, it's $997. If you'd like to do pay every other week, this is helpful. If you get paid every other week, it's $207, 5 payments of that. And if you want to do pay once a week, every week, if you get paid weekly or that's easier for your life, you can do 10 payments of $107. And I know the price is often the thing that turns people off to Life After Loss Academy. I am offering a 20% discount on Life After Loss Academy until midnight on the 15th. So if you're interested in joining this cohort of Life After Loss Academy, take 20% off of those numbers I just listed. So I believe for if you'd just like to pay in full and just get it over with, you can do, I believe it's $797 for the every other week payment. That would be something like $160, 5 payments of $160. And for the 10 weekly payments of $107, it'd be about 80 bucks a week for 10 weeks. And so you can get 20% off guaranteed with the code GROW together, all one word, when you go to checkout. And if you need that repeated, I'll put it in the email. I'll put it in the follow-up email to this that you'll get tomorrow morning. So guaranteed you have that at your disposal. And you can email me too. If you have issues paying for Life After Loss Academy, if that discount is still not enough, please send me an email because I have had so many people join the course on some sort of scholarship. I have had so many people join the course for other reasons or with payment plans more spread out than that because doing it all in 10 weeks is too much pressure on your wallet and your budget, and I totally get that. I price Life After Loss Academy to be less than weekly therapy. Generally, weekly therapy is anywhere from $125 to $150 a week at any standard therapist in the United States. And it's also less than working with me one-on-one, even though you get one-on-one access to me every single week indefinitely into the future and lifetime access to the course. So when you think about over time how much Life After Loss Academy is worth, it is worth so much to be a part of this course. And it's very, very hard because this is not an online course that will teach you how to make money. I'm not teaching you how to be a real estate mogul. I'm not teaching you how to get 4,000 followers on Instagram so you can make $5,000. I'm not teaching you how to better your marketing strategy so that you can bring more customers into your flower shop. I am teaching you how to live a better life with grief, and it's really hard to put a price on that. Um, but I often ask people when they're on the fence about joining Life After Loss Academy is if it just took 10 weeks to improve your relationship with grief from the point of suffering to the point of freedom, from feeling lost and disoriented and directionless to like you have a way forward again, from feeling like you're crushed under the pain and the weight of grief to having somewhere for your emotions to go, to having fractured or awkward or disappearing relationships with friends and family, to having a network of friends and relationships that support you, and to feeling like the future is impossible and full of despair and you're just waiting through for another grief shoe to drop, to feeling like you actually want to live into the future. That is the work I do in Life After Loss Academy, and that is what you're paying for when you join the course. I've had dozens of people join through the years at all different price points, all different payment plans. You are not alone, no matter which one you choose. And yeah, if you have any issues paying for the course, please do reach out to me because I love making this possible for you in whatever way I can. Okay. Um, uh, Following up to the money question, is there a refund policy? Yes. Because I know Life After Loss Academy isn't for everyone, and because I'm not in the business of holding money hostage, because I think that's bad karma, it's just like bad energy. I don't want anything to do with it. There's a 30-day refund policy. So instantly when you join Life After Loss Academy, you get the ground module, which is the first 2 weeks. You get the release module 2 weeks after that, and then you get the integrate module. So by 30 days, you have received 3 modules of 5 in Life After Loss Academy. And if by then you're like, this course is not for me, whether it's too much work, I don't have the time, I don't like how you talk about grief, I'm not interested in getting support from the group, something about it is just out of alignment, I hear you. That's a-okay. And I will refund 100% of what you paid with no questions asked. All you have to do is email me, shelby@shelbyforsythia.com, and I will make that happen for you because this happens so rarely. And in 4 years of teaching Life After Loss Academy, I've had one refund. And it's because she experienced a new loss a week after joining the course. A very dear a friend of hers died. She was grieving a divorce and a death already when joining the course. And she had a very dear friend experience a heart attack and die. And she was like, this is now too much for me to try and work on this as my grief is, as I am going into shock. Like I cannot think, I cannot process words. This is just not the right time for me. And she said, I will come back, but this is not the time right now. And so I refunded her full amount and I said, we will see you whenever you're ready to return to us. And that was just earlier this year. And so I'm really looking forward to having her come back and join the course. But in 4 years of doing this, everyone who has entered the course has had such a good experience, whether connecting with the group or connecting with the course material or connecting with me or all of the above, that my refund rate is really, 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 really low. That being said, again, I am not in the business of holding your money hostage. So if you get into the course, you work through some of the lessons, you join the coaching calls, and you're like, this just isn't the vibe for me. This isn't what I thought it would be. Happy, more than happy after those first 30 days or before those first 30 days to refund you the full amount of whatever you paid, whether you did a payment plan or whether you paid in full. That money belongs to you within those first 30 days. Yeah. And I give that a lot of time. It's not 14 days. It's not you get one module. It's not 7-day refund policy. It's 30 days. Try on the whole course, work through some stuff, see if you like the vibe and the flow and the structure of how everything is laid out in there. And if it makes sense to your grieving heart and your grieving brain. And if we're speaking the same language, come on in. And if not, yes, I will absolutely refund you 100% of what you paid with no hoops to jump through, no surveys to take, no in exchange for some feedback or a consult call, blah, blah, blah. You're a grieving person. I'm a grieving person. None of us has time for that. I will respect whatever your reality is right now. And yes, you will get a refund from that. And then the last question I have here, and I welcome other questions in the chat if anybody's here and would like to submit one. What happens after I enroll in Life After Loss Academy? So you're on the screen, you're clicking the join button, you go through the checkout process, and then now you have access to Life After Loss Academy. What happens? And so the first thing that happens is you get redirected to a thank you page, and I say, thank you so much for joining the course. Please check your email and please add me to your list of like favorite senders. You can do this in Gmail, Outlook, any other email service provider like AOL or Hotmail or whatever the one is for Apple. I don't remember. I never remember what the one for Apple is. God love it. Um, but add me to your favorite emails because you get a series of what are considered like onboarding emails, but like welcome emails of like welcome to Life After Loss Academy. Here's how to use the course. Here's how to join the Facebook group. And it's really I hesitate to say this because it sounds pandering or patronizing, but it really is hand-holding a lot at the beginning of like, here's how to get started, here's how to log in, here's how to find everything, here's what the course lessons and materials look like. And then as each new module is released to you, you'll get a new email. So immediately when you sign up for Life After Loss Academy, you get both of the welcome lessons and you get the entire ground module, which is about 10 lessons worth of how to ground, how to feel calm, feel safe, and feel centered in a world where loss has taught you that anything can happen. And we do this first because feeling safe in the world, even if safe is not a word that registers for you in grief, feeling calm, feeling centered, feeling grounded, feeling peaceful, even for 5 to 10 minutes a day, which is what I teach, not all the time, because I don't expect you to feel that way all the time, because I don't even feel that way all the time. But when in early grief, especially, or after devastating loss, especially, to feel as if there's some steadiness or some ritual or some routine in your life that allows you to take a deep breath and where your grief is welcome. That's what I teach you to create first. You get that instantaneously. So you can start working on it tonight. Sign up tonight. And you get the ground module tonight. And that's what we'll talk about on that first call that's happening a week from today. And then every 14 days after that, you'll get a new email that says, hey, the release module is now unlocked. You are ready to work through this. The integrate module is now unlocked. You can work through it. The establish module is now unlocked. You can work through it. And the foster module is now unlocked. You can work through it. Um, and what's really incredible about this is that there's nothing you need to do. Like you can work through the video lessons at your own pace. If you're in the 10-week cohort, I encourage you to do it with the group because that group momentum and group energy and the sense that everyone is on the same journey with you is really heartening at a time when it's really easy to feel alone. But again, also loss happens, life happens, grief happens. If you fall behind, or if you're like, I just need more time to work on this, or I want to revisit this again in the future, ignore the timed emails, ignore them. I'll keep sending them anyway, just so you know when things are available to you, but totally take the course at your own pace. And because after you've paid, you have lifetime access to the course and to the community. You can keep working through the lessons at any time. You can revisit anything at any time. I just this is the work I love doing in the world. I don't know a better way to say it, but after my mother's death, um, it took me about 2, 3 years to really allow my grief to show up as what it was. And as soon as it did, I started talking about it online and on my own, like private channels. Like I didn't think to ever make anything of it. But so many people reached out to me and said, this is helpful. I need this. I hope you'll take this bigger than what it is right now. I started a podcast. I wrote 2 books about it. I've now started another podcast about it and now created a course based on working with people one-on-one and guiding them through their grief that I know like deep in my heart and soul like this is the work I was put here to do in the world. This is my own sort of meaning that I've formed in the face of my mother's death. I wouldn't trade this for her death. I want her back more than anything. And also, it is such a privilege each and every day to work with people who are grieving devastating losses, things that have just lifted the tree of their lives up from the ground and shaken it, and all the roots are dangling, and just cracked it in half and tossed it somewhere else. And now you have to figure out how to replant yourself in a world where that just happened. Like that is it's everything I ever want to do in the world is walk people through what that is. And I get to, and I get to. Dozens of people have come through Life After Loss Academy. There's Lori, whose daughter was a queer person who died by suicide, walked through Life After Loss Academy, and she was so angry at grief, and she was ostracized by her religious community, who A, couldn't understand the queer thing, and B, couldn't make room at all for her grief. And she graduated from Life After Loss Academy. She's still in the group, having this sense of like, I have the power to pick who my friends are. I know that my daughter's death is valid. I have rituals and ways to remember her for the rest of my life, and I know that it's okay to be a griever forever. That is her story. I have Chris, who's a therapist, who came in and her nephew died by suicide. And she didn't have any children of her own, but she was like, my nephew was my child. He was my child. And he made the drastic decision to take his life one night and it changed everything for me. And she's like, everything I learned in grad school about grief does not apply. We spent 1 week learning the 5 stages of grief, and I am so over it. She's like, this does not work for me. She's like, I need more. And she came in Life After Loss Academy, and she softened to this place where she was like, I have so much room in my heart now for him in my life. And as a practitioner, she's like, I'm taking some of these tools with me. I'm using them with clients who are grieving now for all sorts of things because there is so much more to grief than just the 5 stages. And plot twist, the 5 stages were never intended for grief anyway. That's a secret between you and me. That's all over the internet. Um, One of my other favorite stories is from Kim, who experienced deaths in her life, but she came to Life After Loss Academy grieving a lot, just having had cancer, being diagnosed with cancer, a diagnosis that changed her life. She also came grieving being fired by a workplace that she had poured her entire self and entire identity into. And so grieving the loss of not only the financial income, but a loss of identity and a loss of this is who I am and who I serve and how I help. And being told that that was no longer a good fit for a place that she had fit into for years and years. There was the grief of not belonging. And she grieved that in Life After Loss Academy. And then also COVID. COVID hit and it really threw her for a loop. And she was like, how do I possibly grieve this? And she grieved all of the above in Life After Loss Academy. And then the last person I want to tell you about is Tammy, who was grieving a divorce, a big breakup, and an empty nest at the same time. She was like, not only are my husband and I breaking up, but my children just moved out, and I am all alone at a time in my life when I thought I would never be. And she was grieving what she thought her future was supposed to be, what she thought her relationship and her marriage was supposed to turn into, and also the role of her children in her life and how that relationship had changed. And she did that through Life After Loss Academy. And these are just a handful of stories of people who've come through the course. There's Aya, who lost her mother, and Marin, who lost her mother, and then a fiance as well. Um, there's Debbie who lost her wife. There's so many stories. There's Jamala who lost her baby. There's Tracy who had a series and series and series of miscarriages and then a stillbirth before she finally conceived. But man, the grief of all of that leading up to it was so hard. There's just so many stories of people who have faced devastating, layered, complex, like multifaceted back-to-back losses and come through Life After Loss Academy and through Ground. They've learned to feel safe in the world again or feel calm or centered in a world where loss has taught you anything can happen at any time to anyone. They have learned to name and release really hard emotions through the release module and create rituals for moving these hard feelings up and out so they're not stuck in here anymore. They have found ways to integrate their loved ones into their lives and begin calling themselves grievers and letting that be okay. Because when you start calling yourself a griever, you make decisions differently. You see yourself differently. You interact with people differently, and that's not bad. You are now accommodating the fact that grief is part of your life. They have established, this is a big one, they have established such good grief honoring relationships with friends and family. So they are no longer surrounded by people who judge them or criticize them or try and fix them or force them to see the bright side or ghost them. When loss happens, they are supported by community, including the community inside Life After Loss Academy, and they have learned how to foster good lifetime partnerships with grief. They had laid down the weapons that they were trying to use to fight off or resist or push down or suppress grief or put on the mask of a happy face and say, let it go. Put that away. Write a ceasefire letter to grief. Stop fighting the thing. And what happens when you start listening and tuning into what grief wants, what grief needs, how grief needs to be taken care of, because grief is a part of you that belongs to you and it all belongs. And so they have built, God, just these beautiful, whole, rich, peaceful, purposeful, meaningful, insert your own word here, lives from the lives that loss forced them to live. And I just cannot get enough of their stories, and I cannot get enough of this work. I'm truly blessed to be doing it. I am so honored that you took the time to sit with me tonight in this space. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. I answered all the most common ones. These are also all listed on the Life After Loss Academy page where you can sign up for the course. There's an FAQ section kind of close to the bottom where you can drop down and see the same answers I gave here to everything I said. Again, membership to the 10-week cohort closes on May 16th, which is next Wednesday at midnight, because our first call is on that Thursday, May 16th. That's our first time together. We're discussing the ground module. So if you want to get a head start, jump in right now and start working through the ground lessons. That's a great place to begin. If you have any questions, Shelby at shelbyforsythia.com. And if you need any sort of financial help enrolling for the course, use the code GROW TOGETHER, one word, when you check out for Life After Loss Academy. And that works for all three payment plans. It takes 20% off no matter which one you choose, whether you pay over 10 weeks, whether you pay every other week 5 times, or whether you pay all at once. All of it, all of it, all of it. Because I know that grief is hard and grief is often expensive, and I don't want to put up any more barriers to entry than necessary. But I can guarantee if you give me 10 weeks, I will change your relationship with grief for the better, as I have done for dozens of grieving people who've come through this course. Until the next time we see each other, I see you. I am so proud of you and the work that you're doing in the world, and I love you. Because even through grief, we are growing. Bye.